Okay, so let's compose our mind and be in a space that's not disturbed, not in a hurry, not fluttery, but in a calm state of mind. In a space where we are wishing well to everyone, to Nikki, to ourselves, to our friends, to our family, and to everyone else who's participating here. And if you so wish, you can also extend way further to everybody else in the world, whether they're in trouble or whether they're having a good time. So let's start. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, or omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a child protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart one should cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to false views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world.
Right, over to you. We're using the talk for about 40 minutes. Have you read
Sure.
Venerable?
Sure. So yes, here we are on the eve of Vesak Day. One of the things that recently came up in my discussion with a young monk who hasn't appeared here yet, Venerable Dayalu is his name, and somehow he had been a good example to the rest of us seniors. I saw him recently. We finished our event, a Dhamma talk by Ajahn in our own Dhamma hall. And we all, of course, as a group, bowed down, said thank you to the Buddha, bowed down to Ajahn, paid our respects, and started cleaning up, removed the cushions, removed the chairs, and stacked the microphones. I put the microphones away, and then everybody started to leave, which is what you'd expect. But this young monk, being half Asian, half Caucasian, stopped by the side of the door, knelt down and bowed again 3 times to the Buddha Rupa, Buddha statue, before leaving. I've seen this before when I was learning martial arts, and we do it out of respect, out of gratitude to the great masters who have perfected the art, as it were, and shared it with us. And then I saw it again in this young monk, and I thought, wow. And I spoke to him about it, and he pointed out, he says, on the one hand, Buddha actually did speak about not following rituals blindly, and not hope that rituals will save you, as it were. You don't go with joss sticks and pray at a statue and then stick them in and then say, may I have $1 million, may I strike the lotto or the jackpot or whatever, or may so and so get well. Quite often people in search of a religion do that, and that's not exactly what Buddhism is. Buddhism tells you the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and I think most of you would have heard of them. This is basically Buddhism 101. What the Buddha said 2,500 years ago when he got enlightened. His first sermon, he said to his 5 friends, he says, there is suffering in life. We know that. People grow old, get sick, they die. People will be deprived of what they like, what they love, and people will be given or get stuck with things and situations that they don't really want, and they despair and suffer. So that's truth number 1, the first noble truth. And the second noble truth, the Buddha said, what is the cause of this suffering? And the cause of this suffering is attributed to this thing called craving. The common translation for the word tanha is craving, but interestingly, Ajahn Brahm would say craving is a very strong word. He would rather say any sort of wanting causes suffering. And then you start wondering, is that really true? If you wanted a cup of coffee, would you be suffering? If you got the cup of coffee, yes, the suffering ends. If you didn't get the cup of coffee and you're still craving it, yes, you might say there's a tinge of suffering. But oftentimes what we think of craving is we think of all these possessions and taste and experiences like that. But once in a while, you come across situations where people are really depressed, or really unhappy, or really angry, for example. And what is driving that? What is the wanting in those cases? You want your own situation to be better. You want yourself to be better. You want your looks to be better. You want your family to treat you better, or you want your friends to treat you better. And these are Unlike that cup of coffee, these things are hard to satisfy and you carry them all the time. And unknowingly, you become in pain, in suffering. And quite often we don't realize it, you just sink into it, I guess, yeah? Agree? Okay, so that's second noble truth. Along comes third noble truth. How does suffering end? What did the Buddha find? And here's the interesting part. He says, when your craving ends, your suffering ends. Then you start thinking, is that really true again? If I don't crave, does that mean I don't get old, I don't get sick, I don't have pain? And then you have to listen a bit to the explanation that the Buddha gave. And it's this, the idea of the two arrows, or the two darts, as it were. One, the physical world, the world outside, can sometimes do things that does not please you. As in, the coffee was cold and they didn't have the 2 sugars that I wanted, for example. But whether or not, after you suffer your taste buds, whether or not your mind suffers, whether you get upset at the person behind the counter who gave you that coffee, whether or not you get upset that you have forgotten leaving your coffee out in the open and it got cold, whether or not you get upset with the waiter or whoever made you that coffee, that is named by the Buddha as the second dart, the mental dart. And what the Buddha is saying is, the mental dart is actually more painful. Why? Because you keep shooting it at yourself multiple times. You only had 1 sip of that coffee, you didn't like it, you put it aside, but you can be angry at this barista and you can be repeating the story for the rest of the whole day. Yeah. So here's what the Buddha is saying. Life, on the one hand, this physical part of life, you will encounter stuff you don't like, for sure. But don't go punishing your mind for it. Be aware that you have the choice of not indulging in hurting your mind. You can just let go, walk away. And that's the idea of this third noble truth. So even when you get to old age or sickness, even when there is a severe and persistent pain in some part of your body, the tricky part is how do you feel that pain there at the other end of your body or somewhere in your abdominal area and not be grouchy. And one of the things I hope to share with you this evening is this ability to separate the mind process from the body process. I hope we can try that out, and maybe you can see it. One example, before we go into the meditation proper, as you're sitting there, what I would like you to imagine or try to see in your mind's eye there's this 3D space around you. Your laptop computer is in front of you. You're seated on a chair somewhere, and there are things on your left, on your right, there are things behind you, and you can kind of feel where your feet are. For example, your feet are, for most of you, it's on the floor in front of you. roughly a meter or a meter and a half away from your eyes. Your hands would be resting somewhere on the armchair or the table or on your lap. Yeah? And if you close your eyes now, you can still locate these things in a 3D map, space map in your mind. Yes? And if you allow yourself to feel it, there are little clumps of sensory inputs in different parts of this 3D space. You kind of notice where the observer is. The observer is most likely somewhere near your eyes, near your head. And everything else is relative to this observer. And in a way, you can kind of dissociate the observer from those sensations. Make sense? So, if any of you are currently in pain of any sort, you have a sprain or a tummy ache, even a headache, when you might feel a headache between your temples or up in your forehead, the observer can see that pain as something separate from the observer. It's very nearby, but it's observer versus object of observation. Yeah? Okay, so if we could practice this third noble truth, which is, okay, these sensations that I feel have all arrived, have all come, partly from things out of my control, partly from my own doing. If I went and played tennis and I twisted my ankle, partly just life's process at 50-something, at 60-something, at 70-something, parts of the body slows down and deteriorate. So, if you then recognize these things and say, all right, poor thing, not your fault, not my fault. Even if it were my fault, I was a bit silly at the time, accidents happen, but calm. Just like what Chris said the last time we sat here, you invite those sensations back into the space, into this space, in a very safe and comforting environment, allowing those sensations and those body parts to come in, sit down, and heal. So, in that way, then the tensions will go away, hopefully. It may not. Some tensions have been there for years. You might have been holding a tight muscle around your neck and you've been suffering migraine for a while, but if you now can see a little lump there, a little piece of sensation there, welcome that lump. No hatred, no anger, no frustration, but just caring. Okay, what did the Buddha say about this idea of caring and attitude towards all these sensations? The fourth noble truth, after the Buddha says, when your craving stops, your suffering will stop. But how do you make your craving stop? Or how do you cause the craving to stop? What is the path towards the ending of the craving? And that's the fourth noble truth. The path towards the ending of craving is called the Eightfold Path. And you probably also have heard of a lot of these things. One of them is, the first one is called right view, basically to understand the world the way the Buddha understood. Of course, it's an acquired thing. It takes time to slowly go through all these exercises and experiences in meditation and in life. Then you understand, a lot of what the Buddha said, what all the leaders of the other religions said about kindness makes sense. They knew something that a lot of us don't pay attention to, I guess. Yeah. So right view is a start. The second rule, second factor of the Eightfold Path is something that Ajahn Brahm pays a lot of attention to, which is rarely spoken by many other teachers. Right motivation or right intention. Some people call it right thought, but Ajahn says right motivation is probably the closest correct translation, interpretation. He says, all right, whenever you encounter any experience, what is your reaction to it? And our common reaction is, if I like it, I'll be excited, I'll be very nice to whoever the person is who brings me that experience. If I don't like it, I'll get flustered, I will turn away and I will try and push it away, and if that person forces it on me, then I will get upset, get angry, and try and make it understood that I don't like it. Yeah. But this second factor of the Eightfold Path says, whatever comes your way, most likely is a result of past karma. And even if it weren't, it has arrived. It's come to your doorstep. It's come to you. Reacting negatively, reacting angrily, typically creates more craving, whether craving to pull in or craving to push away. Whereas if you did anything to try and soften it, settle it, to calm it down, then the strength of the craving lessens. So, whatever comes along, accept it, make peace with it, be kind to it, and be gentle with it. And you've heard Ajahn Brahm's famous mantra, make peace, be kind, be gentle. What Ajahn also says quite often is, please take this into your meditation. It is part of the fourth noble truth that says, and this is the path leading to the end of craving. Take this into your meditation, make peace, be kind, be gentle, and your craving will end and your suffering will end. And you will have a nice time while you meditate. Of course, subsequent to this second factor, you have right speech, right action, right livelihood. Basically, those are teachings to tell you, simplify your life, don't get in trouble, because when you get in trouble, when you get into arguments, it stirs up your mind, and when you sit down, your cravings increase. It's a sure sign that the cravings have increased when you can't sit quietly. Yeah? So, yes, so that's the introduction for today, just being the eve of Vesak, to remember again what are the foundations that the Buddha taught. There are three other factors at the back, which are all tied to being mindful, being motivated to increase your good values and your good conduct, good qualities, and also to suppress whatever bad qualities that or bad habits, as it were, that you might have. So over the long game, your life improves. It becomes quieter, gentler, more calm, more peaceful, more happy. Yeah? Okay, so that's my 30-minute spiel. So, shall we start our meditation then?
I think, Venerable, that would be wonderful.
Yes. So, make yourself comfortable. Be as comfortable as you possibly can. Remembering that this second factor of the Eightfold Path, Ajahn Brahm summarizes it very succinctly. Make peace, be kind, be gentle. And of course we start first and foremost being kind and being at peace with this body. As you're sitting there, and you turn your attention towards the sensations in the body, you can pick up all sorts of signals. Whether it's the feet touching the ground, the bum on the chair, hands on your lap. And you can see where they are in your mind's eye within this 3D space. And the thing is, it's quite clear that all these sensations, all these signals, have been buzzing the whole day, but we never listened. We never took notice. Now that we have time, we have a few moments, we connect with these sensations and body parts. It's a little bit like, sometimes we walk past homeless people and we sort of don't see them. And then one day we decide we want to do something kind today. And we welcome them into our presence. And you connect with these sensations in the same kind, sincere way. Really wanting to know how they're doing. So perhaps we might check out what's going on with our eyeballs. Have we been holding the muscles of our eyes too tensely? And you realize the interaction does not require words. In fact, the conversation is so rich that words will probably obstruct. And as you interact with the eyes, we imbue this relationship with kindness and gentleness. And you may want to shift your attention a bit down to the face, the cheeks, the jaw. A bit like friendly neighbors who stay next door, but we've never taken the time to connect. Then as this part of our body softens and becomes relaxed, it might move further south again to the neck and shoulder area. Being kind, being sincere, being warm, accepting the neck and the shoulders to come as they are. And just hang out. When they're relaxed, you might go further down again to the chest and abdominal area. I always find that when we pay attention to our chest and abdominal area with kindness, the breathing always becomes more pleasant. And as you relax the front, you can simultaneously relax the back as well. Okay, by about this point, imagine your mind is quite settled, quite at peace. You can do it quick, well, not quick, you can take your time and scan various parts of the body and continue to welcome all the sensations and give them kindness. sometimes, quite paradoxically, when you're in this quiet, observant mode, you can feel all the aches and pains in the body. But on the other hand, the mind, the observing mind, is not upset. On the contrary, the mind is quite at peace. We intuitively know that having acknowledged and welcomed all our bits of the body into this safe space, and we provide this comforting environment for the body to present all their aches and ailments. In this space, we know healing happens. And even if not, the mind is not suffering. We know that the mind, at least, is not making it worse by tightening or tensing or gripping. The mind is at ease, and the body has a chance to heal. And through this kindness and gentleness, craving is for the moment either not present or very, very weak. if the mind finds itself restless, that it wants to do something, then perhaps what we might suggest is for the mind to almost artificially create a sense of warmth and friendship and caring. So like kindling a bit of metta right in your heart. Directed towards all the parts of the body, all our friends that are present around us now. Now, I'd also like you to try a little different exercise. Now that we have cared for the body, we also want to care for the observer, the mind. If you can cradle the mind, so like in a basket of metta, comforting the mind, allowing the mind to rest. I often picture the mind resting on the breath, just as a suckling baby might rest on the mother's tummy. the in-breath and the out-breath. Slowly rocking the observer. It's like the metta flows both ways. As you can see, experience, kindness, compassion, gentleness, calms the craving, calms the suffering, at least the suffering of the mind. And Ajahn often points out, it's not so much the object of the meditation, not so much what you're focusing on, whether it's the breath, whether it's the body, or your foot when you're doing walking meditation. But really, the essence of meditation is this relationship between the observer and the object. And for Ajahn, he describes his body and his breath as old friends. Friends he's been hanging out with day after day, hour after hour. in this space of kindness and peace. I invite you to take another 10 breaths, enjoy them, and then I will ring the bell.
Chris is back.
Oh, thank you, Venerable. That was wonderful.
That's good.
What would you like to do now, Venerable? Would you like to talk some more? Or would you like to take some questions or comments?
I think I've said plenty for one night right now. I'll take questions.
Okay, certainly. Well, we have one in the chat. I would like to ask Venerable in his own view, how should we view this life that we have now? And would you be so kind as to summarize some points of right view in your own words? And thank you for your teachings.
My interaction with Ajahn Brahm, when I asked him a lot of questions about life or about decisions to be made, he always takes a very long-term view. 5-10 years is a short time to him. It's as if he really understands this whole thing about samsara, the Buddhist concept of samsara, where you live and die and get reborn, and live and die again and get reborn. And if you have choices to make, Ajahn Brahm's suggestion is always to focus on the long trajectory more than the short-term trajectories. So if you had a short-term gain versus a long-term gain, and it actually steers your ship to the right direction from a well-being point of view, I've learned from Ajahn always to play the long game. So long as you can survive your day-to-day and live another day to keep on playing the long game and improve your life. So, like the Eightfold Path, what it tells you to do is to slowly reduce your cravings, reduce your turmoils in life. And I realized this only not so long ago when I saw what Ajahn Brahm do with people who take 5 precepts. You know what the 5 precepts are: don't kill, don't steal, don't have sexual misconduct, don't lie, and don't take intoxicants. And then there are people who do this every week with Ajahn. On the other hand, some other people ask me, what can we do to bring my relatives and friends into Buddhism? And I think to myself, okay, if you are still out there in the waves and in the turmoil of the world, chances are you haven't got ears for Dhamma yet. It's too difficult. I used the simile with a German guest recently. If you like rum, coke, or vodka, lime, you probably don't enjoy green tea, right? So, to enjoy green teas and quiet taste, if you are able to take your 5 precepts, then you can start listening to Dhamma. If your life is in turmoil, you don't have time for it, most likely. So yes, that's one view. Right view is basically all these things that we just talked about. To see the big picture the way the Buddha saw it, to see the explanations of how our lives go up and down based on what we do, as well as who we hang out with, and to see, I see things, I suppose, in a mechanical way because I'm an engineer. I was an engineer before, so I can now see, what Buddha talks about in the Four Noble Truths, how it all connects to finally getting rid of cravings, at least subduing them enough that we can sit quietly for half an hour. And then you carry on. Now that you've experienced kindness as a very comfortable state, you want to prolong that in your daily life and cultivate that even if you can. Yeah. And avoid as much as possible, all the unnecessary turmoil. Some things we get caught in, some things we have to do. Taking care of parents, for example, for most of us is a duty that we can't escape. But, I don't know, to fight for a promotion, to invest in a new car, sometimes it's like, is it worth the trouble? Or is it just have other priorities, more important priorities in life? So, dwelling into this kind of questions and then understanding what works, what doesn't work in the long game, basically you understand the Dhamma as the Buddha taught. That's really a lot of what is right view in my mind. Yeah. Does that answer?
Well, I think so. Yes, I definitely think so. Thank you very much, Venerable. We do have another question. Gloria is here and she'd like to unmute and ask your question. Gloria?
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, thank you for the meditation. My question is for me, meditation is like onion.
Right.
It's like peeling the skin.
Yes.
And I to the core. And then recently, it's the more I meditate, the more I realize that I'm not as nice as I thought I am. And then I have a lot of roaring emotions down there. actually it is like a new landscape for me, because I used to use my brain a lot. Like I think through things by intellectualize and like conceptualize things. And I think I want to ask is like, I have a lot of like discovering new emotions and getting very angry and getting very anxious and getting very irritating like all the time. I would like to ask like how to like navigate this whole like new emotional landscape that not I discover, but like that surface up like during the meditation. Thank you.
We young monks go through the same process. But the answer, as I understand it, is still the same. It's just like the sprain in the ankle, the mind processes that you like or dislike, just like the body processes that you like or dislike. Your response to it, if you hate your own character, for example, you're stirring it up more than you're letting it heal. Just like what we did earlier, if there was pain in the body, you would welcome that part of the body into your space, create a safe space, and say, come, sit and heal and relax. And then that part of the body will have a chance to relax and recuperate. So likewise, even with our minds, with our character, with our behavior, with our habits, you also be kind to them. It's not like your bad habit is somebody else that you can kick away and lock out the door. It's here, just like your sprained ankle or your headache. It's already here. It's past karma. So accept that. Rest with. One image that you will see of Ajahn if you ever get to Jhana Grove, for example, he says, go cuddle a teddy bear, put the teddy bear next to you and stroke it, accept it, comfort it. In the same way, if you have anger and views and beliefs and bad habits, relax. Because the opposite of that is, you come back, you sit down and you think of what happened in the day, and you get angry, and you get tense, and you don't sleep well, and your digestion doesn't go well. And then you wake up grumpy the next day, and you meet the same person, go through a similar experience, and it just keeps getting worse. As I understand Ajahn's teaching and the Buddha's teaching, make peace, be kind, be gentle with everything. Some things walk away, but walk away with the intention of being kind to yourself, making peace that the world is not all rosy, and giving everybody space to settle down and relax. Does that make sense? Does that answer?
Yes. Thank you. Just one follow-up question. According to your observation and like experience, how long does it take? How long does it take for the young monk to pass this stage?
For me, I've been here 7 years and I'm still learning. But I have to say, a lot of it I have let go. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a gradual process. Don't rush it. Ajahn uses another simile. He says, if you have water in a pan or a basin and you want the ripples, the waves to die down so that you get a mirror smooth surface, right? What do? Can you press all the waves down and make it stop? You can't. You just have to let the waves stop by themselves. And that's how we also treat our mind, treat our bad habits. You stay away from what stirs you, and then you let the rest of the energy die away. Yeah, and if you can't stay away from what stirs you, during those interactions, don't stir it harder. Be kind, be gentle, make peace.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you. I have a comment in the chat. Can I read it?
Sure.
I get random dreams about my future life. A few weeks later, and the exact scene happens, and I remember about my dream. Why does this happen?
First I must declare I have never had that, so it's beyond me. So I'm going to answer theoretically more than I'm going to answer from my own experience. Consciousness, as Ajahn Brahm describes it, it's a lot bigger than what most of us know and feel. The Buddha in the suttas describe spectacular feats with the mind. Being able to read somebody else's mind, being able to time travel, space travel. So it appears those who have done it before tells us that a lot of these things are possible. It's just that a lot of us, the majority of us, don't know it, don't understand it, and not open to it, and don't know how to do it. This person may have found a way accidentally, I don't know. Or sometimes fluke happens, and that dream kind of slipped through the usual reality that the rest of us live. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else I can say about that. It's like, if any of us, if let's say we could tell what's going to happen tomorrow but have no control over it, would you be scared? Or would you say, okay, now I know what's going to happen tomorrow, and tomorrow arrives? Would you be okay with it? I suppose if you saw something bad happen, you would fear it. If you saw something good happen, you might be excited and get ready for it. If what you saw was really real, as in you could really foretell, then it will probably trouble you more than it helps, I would think. End of the day, the understanding is karma is what improves your trajectory, not foretelling future. Meaning to say, whatever you foresee, just like that pain in your ankle or pain in the head or pain in the heart, being kind, being gentle, making peace, that improves your trajectory. If you see a future and you greed over it and you say, okay, I now know the lotto number, or if you greed over, if I do this, I will get the promotion, then you're probably strengthening your craving and therefore increasing your suffering. So whatever happens, whether you have the ability or not, the response, what you do, your intentions and your motivation, that's what improves your life. The quality of that. whether you're doing it out of kindness and gentleness, or whether you're doing it out of greed and anger. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. Also, Martha would like to unmute. Martha, are you still there? Would you like to unmute and ask a question?
Yes, thank you so much for that observation that one can scan the mind, the body, and it doesn't, and you can experience it without words.
Yes.
I thought that was very fascinating. I appreciated that so much. My problem is that I can't do that. And also the observation that metta from the mind and to the mind, from the mind and to the, from the mind and to the mind, from the mind and to the mind. I'm so much better at doing that to the mind than from the mind. Because I like, for example, last night, I just, ruminating. Why is it so much easier to do this for me? I find it so much easier when I'm outside, and particularly when the sun is hitting my eyeballs, when we particularly went to that, and when things are quiet outside. And then it is when I'm lying in bed at night in the dark, just fearful in like the fetal position because of lack of financial stability. Do you think there's anything to the middle path? Because in that first, you were talking about the first sermon where the first talk where the Buddha was talking about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and all that. He also I thought he had just also come out and said that I've experienced that indulgence is low. Not just indulgence in drugs and alcohol, but indulgence in general is low.
Yeah.
And although unfortunately it is probably, he also said that having nothing is shocking. And that unless you're a really special person, you've got to have certain things met. What are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts? I just want to know what your thoughts are about that. But thank you.
Okay. One thing, first to do with your indoor-outdoor mind quietness thing, we do have, the mind has this thing about associations. Certain things will remind us of stuff, remind the mind of stuff. So, for example, if things have happened in the dark or happened in that bedroom before, or you habitually look at the phone, for example, in that bed, then chances are, once you curl up in that bed, there's a tendency for the mind to say, hey, where's the phone? Or it will go back to some history that associates with darkness and bedrooms. If I heard you correctly, you said that scenario gives you a bit of a fear, insecurity. And of course, the mind would then be on a high alert rather than be in a relaxed state. And obviously, being out in the sunshine, it gives you that sense of security that you're talking about, the sense of being able to rest. So, these associations are obviously not permanent. Buddha says nothing is permanent, everything is impermanent. You could either learn to reassociate something else in that bedroom, or you could start a new tradition in another part of the house. Place a Buddha.
Making everybody turn off the television 30 minutes at a time so they're not getting bombarded by atoms and negativity, and staying in the quiet and not watching softcore porn that's couched as entertainment that I didn't really want to look at unless I really know it is going to be that. E.g., for example. Thank you.
Yeah.
But there are external conditions that are difficult to live with, I think. For me personally, I find that there are certain external conditions that make it almost impossible. Like, for example, I am so skinny, people wouldn't believe that I would eat so much. I am literally in fight or flight, hyper vigilance at all times. The only home, shelter, food, clothing, anything that I get is given to me. I'm about tired of asking for it. So I'm looking at the, and I appreciate you so much for being here because I wish more people like you were around me. Thank you.
Do you have a spot where you can find safety? As in a place you can walk to sometime in the day and, I don't know, curl up, hide away and just chill. Where your flight and fight mode settles down a bit.
No. The only place it would be with my cat. I got trespassed. Everybody thinks that this is their land, this my land, this land is your land, this land is my land.
Okay.
This land is your land. So I get up before the sun comes up, and that is my best time of the day. I get up before anybody gets up, and I take my cat for a walk. But it pretty much goes down here for the rest of the day. And then wanting things to change grows throughout the day. The more I hear everybody else's verbal vomit, they give me all kinds of advice designed to enlighten me.
Yeah.
Or just, 10 to 1, negative to positive in terms of complaints about their own life for me.
Yeah.
So, that's where for me it's just better to be alone, but it's not easy when I don't own anything. So, but I wish y'all were here. I got to go make breakfast for everybody.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. You're an excellent speaker. Thank you for slowing down to the point where I can actually hear you and process. That's how frightened I am. My mind is going like that and keep grabbing things. Thank you.
Take care.
Yes, take care, Martha. Helen would like to ask a question. Helen, would you like to unmute?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Venerable. Basically, my question is, just wondering, if in the morning I would like to do meditation and exercise, is there any specific order? Should I meditate first, then do exercise, or the other way around, or it doesn't matter? And secondly, how long would you recommend for morning meditations? If during the meditation I want to move around, is that okay? Or when I start to meditate, I should keep the position until the end. Thank you.
My own experience, we all meditate differently. So whatever works for you, that's the best position. That's the best order. That's the best time. Obviously, the more you meditate, the more sensitive you become about your own body and your own mind. Previously, just like Gloria said, I was also a very intellectual person, an engineer who look at things step by step. And if you do step 1, sweep the body, step 2. And then I come across Ajahn Brahm who says, meditation is a business of the heart, not a business of the head. You really want to get into that heart space that is kind and gentle, and then the mind will settle down. And when the mind settles down, it actually becomes sharper, more sensitive. And without the mind flitting around, you actually think more clearly. So, us monks, we say, okay, we are meditating for this thing called enlightenment. We really want to understand what craving is and eliminate it. But I imagine for the most of you who are maybe not aiming so to this enlightenment thing, if you are very good, I encourage it. If your idea of meditation is to improve your life, improve your day, then you can almost view meditation like preparing yourself for the day. For example, if you had to prepare a banquet dinner, for example, you would take the time to clean up your kitchen, organize your pots and pans, organize all your condiments, lay out all your knives and forks and spoons and whatever, and then you start your business. You wouldn't start doing a major project with a cluttered kitchen. and disorganized kitchen, for example. So, if you're going to start a day with a lot of intellectual work, for example, or interacting with people, whatever, you really want to have an organized kitchen up here before you start. So meditation, as I would do it, would be to sit, relax, clear the head, clear the mind, clear the worries, clear all the rubbishy thoughts, clear all the anger, clear all the frustrations, and then embark on the day. So, how long should you sit? As much as you can afford. That's my view. Yeah, as much as you can pull yourself away from TikTok and Instagram and everything else. Yeah?
Yes, thank you, Helen. Thank you. And thank you, Venerable. Venerable, we've come to that time of the evening. Would you like to offer us a blessing and say good night? Or how would that go?
Okay, I can offer a blessing. We also want to remember Nikki again and wish her well, wish her peace. And also, of course, to all of you who have participated, who have made time, may this evening's meditation be for your happiness and well-being. So, Nati me saranang anyang, Buddho me saranang varang, etena sacha vajena soti te hotu sabada. Nati me saranang anyang, Dhammo me saranang varang, etena sacha vajena soti te hotu sabada. Nati me saranang anyang, Sangho me saranang varang, etena sacha vajena soti te hotu sabada. Okay, so very good. Thank you.